Okay, we'll start chanting. I will chant, you can repeat. So for today, we will go in chant and repeat mode. From hopefully from next week, all of you are familiar with chanting, so we can chant together. You can be on mute. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya गीतामृतदुहे नमः कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाससे गतासूनगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति योगयुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्मभूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानमवसादयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहम् आदिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरम् सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां Maitrah karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischayah मय्यर्पित मनोबुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः हरिः ओम तत्सत्. Good. So we have been seeing the Gita, and through the Dhyana Shloka we saw the gist of the entire Gita, and then we saw Arjuna's prayer, right? So Arjuna, we saw that he is asking to Krishna to clear his intellectual confusion, right? Arjuna says, I am overcome temporarily by an unnatural state of misery. I am enthusiastic, I am cheerful, I am very full of ready to act always. But now, because I have a confusion between what is right and what is wrong, because of that, I am in a pitiable state, karpanya dosha. And Krishna, please tell me what is right for me, and I am your disciple. I request you, I have surrendered to you. Please teach me. This is what Arjuna prays to Krishna. And in response to this prayer, Krishna teaches the entire Gita. So, this is a very beautiful prayer which we saw. Now, after that, we see the word Sri Bhagavan Uvacha occurring in the Gita in several places. Now, this is a very important statement because we celebrate Gita, the Gita shlokas, as the words of Bhagavan himself, as the Lord himself, right? So we always keep praying to God, oh Lord, I have this problem. Oh Lord, I have that problem. Oh Lord, tell me what I should do. I am confused. Please tell me. Uh, isn't my prayer reaching you? Are you deaf? Are you dumb? Why are you not answering my question? Those kind of thoughts we have. Now, those thoughts come because we have forgotten that already Gita has been given to us. The Lord has already spoken to us. He has spoken to us through Arjuna, right? So, keeping Arjuna as the pretext, he has already given the teaching. He has already told us how to decide between what is right and what is wrong, what is to be done. He has already taught us. Now, having uh, not studied the Gita, if we go and approach the Lord and say, oh Lord, tell me, like, speak to me, no, the Lord will say, like, I already spoken. First, you go and read the manual. The user manual has been already given. So, before asking for customer service, first read the user manual, right? So, we have to first read the user manual, read the Gita, understand it, and then if there is any question beyond this, we can always go and ask the various acharyas, and the Lord will send the right acharya to us to answer those questions. So we have to do our homework before asking the Lord to speak. So these words, these shlokas, these ideas, these concepts are from the mouth of the Lord himself. So we celebrate these words, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. And another thing to remember is Gita is a conversation. So if you look at the shlokas in the Gita, some of them it will say Sanjaya Uvacha, some of them it will say Dhritarashtra Uvacha, some of them it will say Arjuna Uvacha, some of them it will say Yudhishthira Uvacha, Duryodhana Uvacha. There are so many shlokas told by so many other people, and we should be very careful not to take those shlokas as Gita shlokas. They are all Purvapaksha. Most of them, except of course Vyasa's words, where Vyasa himself says those can be considered as a kind of commentary. But the words of Arjuna, the words of Dhritarashtra, the words of Duryodhana, right? Those things, the words of Bhishma, so all those the words of the Drona, they're all there in the Gita. So those are not part of Gita. Those are all, at best, we can say those are all Purvapaksha, right? Arjuna asks question. So he's a that's a Purvapaksha. And in the first chapter and in the beginning of the second chapter, Arjuna gives his own opinions. So those we should not consider as Gita, right? So those are all not the Gita teaching. So we have to be very careful. We have to ensure that when we pick up words from the Gita, we have to ensure that we pick up only those shlokas which have Bhagavan Uvacha, which are told by Krishna, right? Because only that forms a part of the Gita. We have to be careful about that. So now let us continue with our uh, study, right? So we saw this prayer. So now the shloka which is given here, which is taken up next for study, is the shloka where the Gita teaching starts. The second chapter, 11th shloka, is where the Gita teaching starts. So we will chant again. I will chant. You can repeat. अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाससे गतासून् अगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. Good. So this shloka tells, hey Arjuna, you are worrying about things which are not need to be worried about. Ashocyan anvashochastvam. Then prajna vadamscha bhasase. But you are talking as if words of wisdom. Cha, the prajna vadamscha. The cha means as if, right? Now, prajna means wisdom. Vadam means argument or words. Bhasase, you are speaking. So you are speaking as if words of wisdom. Now, why is this as if? Because Krishna says, Gata soon, agata soonscha, about things which go and things which don't go. Na anushochanti panditaha. Na anushochanti panditaha. The wise man, panditaha means wise man, na anushochanti, does not grieve. So the wise man does not grieve, na anushochanti panditaha, and ashocyan anvashochastvam. So you are worrying, but you are talking prajnavadamscha basase, but you are talking as if words of wisdom. So as if means, because if you are really wise, you will not worry. But because you are worrying, right, it means you are not wise, but you are talking words of wisdom. So it is as if the cha comes because of that. Okay. So now this na anushochanti panditaha, this last quarter of this shloka, is the summary of the entire Gita. So the summary of the entire Gita is wise man does not grieve. So what does it mean? The purpose of the Gita is to free us from all sorrow. Na anushochanti. Right? So now this is the, as I told you, this is the first shloka of the Gita teaching. The Gita teaching starts in second shloka, 11th verse. Okay, second chapter, 11th shloka. And the Gita teaching ends in the 18th chapter, 66th verse. We all know the shloka, very popular shloka. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Then what is the last one? Ma suchaha. Don't worry. So the Gita teaching ends with Ma suchaha. Don't worry. And the Gita teaching starts with Na anushochanti panditaha. So the beginning also, the teaching is don't worry. The end also, the teaching is don't worry. And even in between also, there are everywhere so many places. Gita always talks about Sa Shantim Adhigachati. Sa Shantim Adhigachati. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It always talks about peace, freedom from worry, freedom from all kinds of psychological defects, right? Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha, right? Freedom from Raga, from extreme desire, Bhaya from fear, Krodha from anger. So, like this, lot of places Gita talks about freedom from sorrow. So, the purpose of the Gita is to free us from all sorrow. Complete freedom from all sorrow is the purpose of the Gita. Now, what is the way? Panditaha. Panditaha means wise person. So, wisdom is the way. Wisdom about what? Wisdom means knowledge, right? Now, knowledge about what? Not physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. Here it is knowledge about who am I, what is this world, what is the purpose of life, right? What is my relationship with God, who is God. Now that is wisdom. That is the wisdom we are talking about here. So, to in summary, we can say the correct answer to the question who am I. So a panditaha, a wise person, is one who knows the correct answer to the question who am I. And such a person na anushochanti, does not grieve. So na anushochanti panditaha is the summary of the entire Gita. Wise man does not grieve, or freedom from all sorrow through wisdom. This is the entire Gita. Okay. So now this shloka comes as the first shloka of the Gita teaching, as I told you. Now in our tradition, in our Sanatana Dharma, in our Hindu tradition, Indian tradition, every book starts with four topics called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Okay, every book must start with an Anubandha Chatushtaya where four things are mentioned. Who is the Adhikari? Who is the target audience? What is the Prayojana? What is the expected result? And what is the Vishaya? What is the message? And what is the Sambandha? So what is the connection between the Vishaya and Prayojana? So Sambandha is how can this Adhikari use the Vishaya to get the Prayojana? That is called Sambandha. Okay, the Sambandha between these three. How can the Adhikari use the Vishaya to get the Prayojana? So this is called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Okay. So let us take an example. For example, let us say there is a book on yogasanas, right? So let us say like Satyananda Saraswati's book, like Asana, Pranayama, Mudra Bandha, right? Like there is a beautiful book, reference book. Now, what is the book? Who is the target audience? A person who wants to follow, who wants to do some yogasanas for various reasons, right? He might be doing yogasana for health or for spiritual progress. So he is a adhikari, one who wants to do yogasana for that. What is the prayojana expected result? Good health of the physical body, good health of the mind, and progress in spiritual life. That would be the prayojana. And what is the message of the yoga book? The yoga book has detailed descriptions about how to do various asanas, how to do various pranayama. All those things are there in the book. Now, what is the sambandha? Just if you read the book, will it give the result? No. You have to follow what is there in the book. The book will say this is called Virasana. So you have to sit in Virasana. Book will say this is called Matsyasana. So you have to do the Matsyasana. Only then if you will get the benefit of Matsyasana. Just by reading about Matsyasana, just by watching a video or just by looking at a picture of Matsyasana, you will not get the benefit of Matsyasana. So the Sambandha tells how to apply this knowledge. So here also, who is the target audience? If you look at this, it says Ashocyan Anvashochastvam Prajnam Adamscha Basase. So a person who is afflicted by the dualities of life, Gatasoon, Agatasoonscha, right? So the person who is afflicted or who is suffering by the dualities of life, success, failure, loss, gain, right? Pleasure, pain, all those things keep happening. So a person who is worried about that is the target audience. But then almost everyone becomes a target audience. Is that true? But then this also has to be seen. Prajna Vadamscha Basase. So what does this one show? Even though Arjuna is kind of talking words of wisdom, right? But still without having solved the problem. The very fact that he is talking these means multiple things. One is he has given thought to it. This problem of the dualities, he has tried to solve the problem by himself. Only because he has tried to solve the problem by himself, he has went and studied about it. He has, like if in today's we would have gone and searched on Google or Chat GPT on what is the solution to this problem, read so many things about it, and obviously like a lot of things will be conflicting information. So we have got more confused about it. And so we are saying, okay, fine, like I have tried to solve the problem, but it has given me more confusion only. So you have done a lot of homework. That is what is shown here as Prajna Vadamscha Basase. Because you have already tried to solve the problem, you have tried to figure out what is the problem, what is the solution, you have tried to read somewhere, you have tried to follow some things, but then at the end of it, you are finding still your problem has not been solved. Now, that is the adhikari. A person who has seen this suffering, seen these dualities, tried to solve the problem, tried to figure out the problem by himself, and also willing to do something to solve the problem. He has already tried some things out, but still he has not been able to solve the problem. So now he comes and says, oh, please help me. So he is the adhikari. We saw in the prayer also the same thing, right? So he is the adhikari. Now, what is the prayojana? Na anushochanti is the prayojana. Freedom from all sorrow. Complete freedom from all sorrow. Right? That is prayojana. Now, what is the way? What is the vishaya? Panditaha. Wisdom. Right? Wisdom is the way. Right? And what is the sambandha? The sambandha, though not mentioned explicitly here, the very fact that Arjuna has done everything and still he is grieving means that just studying about it is not enough. You need to have a technique of applying it, which Arjuna is missing, and that is what Gita is going to give. So that is why in the end of every chapter, it will say, Iti Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. So Brahma Vidya means what is the theory part, the theoretical part. Yoga Shastra means the practical application of it, right? The theory and the application is what is called as Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. So Gita gives both, right? So in summary, if you see, as I told you in the last class, 15th chapter gives the theory, 12th chapter gives the practical aspects, the summary of it. Okay, fine. So we will go ahead. So this is the Anubandha Chatushtaya. So what did we see? What is Anubandha Chatushtaya? The four qualities, right? Adhikari, then Prayojana, Vishaya, Sambandha, right? And those are the four components of Anubandha Chatushtaya. Every book has to start with that. So most of the books, if you see, they will start with the Anubandha Chatushtaya. And who is the intended audience? A person who has already tried to solve the problem, who has already done some homework, and he is the audience. What is the expected outcome of studying and following the Gita? Complete freedom from all sorrow. That is the outcome. What is the central message? Na anushochanti panditaha is the central message. What is wisdom? The correct answer to the question, who am I, is the wisdom. Right? Who am I? And of course, there is the extended questions. Who am I? What is this world? Who is God? Right? Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Who am I? What is this world? Who is God? And what is the relationship between them? Right? What is the purpose of life? Right? All these things is what is called as wisdom. Fine. So now we have got one more layer into what to expect from the Gita. So now we'll enter into the next shloka, where we will discuss what is the goal. So the rest of today almost we will spend in trying to understand the goal that we are trying to reach. Right? We should have a very clear understanding of what is the goal. Okay. Of course, the goal at multiple levels, and will different milestones along the goal we will see in the next class. But in this class, we will try to understand what is the goal. Because if you understand the goal clearly, half the problem is solved. We'll see. So I will chant. You can repeat. Or before that, any questions? Maybe we can pause for some questions. Let me. So if anyone has any questions, you can unmute and ask. Yes, madam. You can unmute and you can ask.
Is Gokul, you said what is the for the qualification, right? What is
Mm-hmm.
the homework that has to be done?
So basically, you should have tried to solve the problem, right? So you have seen that, okay, sometimes you get into sorrow, you are facing ups and downs of life, right? Now, having seen this, now you should have put in some effort in your own way with your limited knowledge to try to solve the problem, right? So go and you might have at least the minimum thing these days will be, okay, go to Google and then search what is the purpose of life. What does Gita say according to Gita? What is the purpose of life, right? What is this? What is that? And whatever books you can lay your hands on, you try to read them. Like some effort you should have already put. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll continue. So I'll chant, you can repeat. विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति. So it says Vihaya Kam. This is one of the shlokas. This is 71st shloka. Second chapter has got 72 shlokas. This is the last but one shloka. And this is a part of the Siddha Prajna Lakshana. In fact, this is a summary of the entire Siddha Prajna Lakshana. Right? So the Krishna describes the characteristics of the Jivan Mukta, the person who is free. So our goal is Jivan Mukti. Okay. What do you mean by Jivan Mukti? Freedom while alive. We are not too much interested in a post-mortem freedom, right? Videha Mukti, Gita mentions that a Jivan Mukta will attain Videha Mukti when the body dies, but that is not the focus. The focus is Jivan Mukti. We don't want to go to a post-mortem heaven or Vaikunta or Kailasha, like, different lokas. That is not the goal. We want to be free here and now. Okay. Here in this world, while living, we want to be free. That is called Jivan Mukti. So Jivan Mukti is the goal. Okay. Now, what is Jivan Mukti? We will see as we go along. But that you should be very clear. We are not looking for a heaven or a Sadgati or a Vaikunta or some loka after death. No. Like whatever needs to be attained, we need to attain it here and now while living. Right? So it is a real goal in this life, here and now. Okay? Jivan Mukti. Now, what is it that we want to reach? Here, Krishna gives a detailed description about the characteristics of a Jivan Mukta. Now, let us understand the what is this Jivan Mukta, what is his state. Okay. So here, this is a summary of it. Here he says, Vihaya Kaman Yaha Sarvan, a person who has abandoned all desires, free from all desires. Okay. Then Pumams, okay, Vipumam, that will come back later. Nirmamo, he's free from the sense of mind, like Mamakara, right? This is mine, that is mine. The possessiveness, he's free from possessiveness. Nirahankaraha, free from the sense of I, no self-centeredness. He is free from self-centeredness, free from selfishness and free from self-centeredness, right? Selfishness means this is mine, that is mine, this person is mine, that person is mine. That is selfishness, mamakara. Ahankara is, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to enjoy life, I want to be this, I want to have name, fame, and also I want to have a lot of good things in life, like all uh, sense pleasure, seeking after name, fame, right? All that is the ahankara. So nirmamaha, nir ahankaraha, right? And after becoming free from all desires, after becoming free from possessiveness, after being free from self-centeredness, what do? You don't go and sit in a cave and meditate and die. No. Puman charati nisprihaha. So you move around in this world without getting attached, right? You continue to live in this world. You continue to interact with people. You continue to do your duties. You do everything, but without any attachment. Nisprihaha. What do you mean by attachment? Expectation is attachment, right? Without any attachment, without any expectation, right? Any specific expectation from anything or anyone, without dependence on anything and anyone, you continue to live in this world and you continue to like move around, right? Pumams charati. Charati means moving around, right? Nisprihaha. Without any attachment. And such a person, saha, shantim adhigachati. He attains peace. This sa shantim adhigachati occurs in the Gita several times. He gives so many things and he'll say sa shantim adhigachati. Right? So this shantim adhigachati, he attains peace. So peace of mind, with complete peace of mind, without any expectations, without any attachment, you continue to live in this world free from all desires, free from sense of mindness, and free from a sense of I-ness. This is the state of a Jivan Mukta. Clear? So, this is the summary, but to understand this goal, let us build up some concepts and then we will come back to this shloka. Okay. So, let us see. So, this picture which you see here, all of you must be very familiar with. You would have studied in high school biology. So this is the evolution, right? How from the most primitive unicellular organisms, how life has evolved in this universe. right? Into from single cellular, multicellular, plants, animals, birds, everything, and including a human being. So the way the whole life has evolved on this earth, and of course, even before life evolved, the whole universe has been evolving, right? From Big Bang. They say Big Bang happened some 13.8 billion years back. From that time onwards, like the whole physical universe has been evolving from stardust, from just a universe full of just only hydrogen, to stars and galaxies and solar systems, then to the planets, to something like this earth which can sustain life. And then life has come, and it has come. So this whole evolution has been happening. Now, looking at this evolution, studying this evolution closely, we can understand what is the goal of this whole universe. Where is this universe heading? Where has this universe coming? How it has been evolving, and where is it heading? Let us try to understand that, and from that we can take a hint on what is our goal. What goal has the universe designed for us, right? That is what we are trying to figure out. So if you look at all the living beings, we see that every living being wants to be happy, right? Now, Shankaracharya gives a very beautiful example in the uh, this thing. What is that? In the Bhashya for Brahma Sutra, right? He gives the introduction. He gives a very beautiful example. He says, like a cow, if you show a stick, the cow will go away from you. If you show some grass, the cow will come towards you. This is a very simple thing. We know that every living being, right, wants to avoid pain and suffering, and every living being wants to go towards pleasure and survival. And we can see that every living being has this tendency, right? So now, if we look at the lower most living organisms, right, they are mainly after survival and multiplication, right? So let us say, for example, like in our house, let us say there is a fish tank, tank full of guppies and mollies. Now, if I ask, what is success for this fish? Or let us say there is an earthworm in the garden. What does success in life mean for this earthworm, right? What is success? Now, if this fish can survive till adulthood, and if it can multiply, if it can have some children, some baby fishes before it dies, then its life is successful. So the success of a lowermost living organism, a fish, for example, is just survival and multiplication, right? It should survive and it should multiply. So the individual should survive and the species should survive. That is all that it's it has, right? So to enable survival and multiplication, nature has given it some faculties like hunger, thirst, lust, pleasure, pain, fear, sleep, right? There's a beautiful Sanskrit Subhasita which says Ahara, Nidra, Bhayam, Maitunam cha Samanyam yetat Pashubir Buddhirhitesha Adhiko Visheshaha Buddhirhitesham Pasubhi Samana. So Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, right? Ahara is food, right? Nidra, sleep, resting, and Ahara, Nidra, Bhayam, right? Fear, to protect itself, and Maitunam, to multiply. So Ahara, Nidra, and Bhaya and Maituna, just survival and multiplication. This is what is common between a human being and an animal. And there are two versions of the Shubhashita, Buddhirhi Tesham Adhiko Visheshaha or Dharmohi Tesham Adhiko Visheshaha. So Buddhi and Dharma both are same. We will, by the end of this series, you will understand why Buddhi and Dharma are the same. Anyway, so if you see the lowermost living organisms, they just survive and multiply. That is all that they have in life, right? At that level of evolution. But as you see, as we go for higher animals, right, which live as groups, as a herd, let us say, for example, lions or elephants, right? Now, their survival of the herd is more important than survival of the self or survival of one's own children, right? Than the survival of one's own body, one's own and one's own children, the survival of the herd itself is what is emphasized in the higher animals. So they live as groups. So let us say, for example, there is an elephant. Now, what does success in life mean for an elephant? Right? The elephant should have lived long enough, and maybe it should have had some baby elephants, but also it should have protected its herd from other enemies, and it should have taken care of not only its own children, it should also have taken care of the other children in that herd, and it should have been willing to even give up its life in protecting the herd, right? So that is the uh, that is the goal. That is what happiness lies in for the higher animals, right? For the lowermost animals, happiness lies only in survival and multiplication. Ahara, Nidra, Bhayam, and Maithuna. Now, when you go for a slightly higher level of animals, then you have the other faculties, right? To take care of the herd, the mechanism has evolved that happiness of this animal, of this individual animal, lies in the survival of the herd. So, love, hatred, anger, ambition, courage, competition, right, possession, pride, all these things are, these faculties, these emotional faculties are given to these animals, to the lions and tigers and elephants and cows and, all these, so that their happiness, like, so basically the way it happens is, like, in the brain there is something called as a reward center. Now the reward center, if the reward center gets activated, then you will feel happy. So now for the lowermost organisms, the reward center gets activated only for these things. Now once the higher organisms, the reward centers get activated even for the expression of anger towards the aggression, towards the enemies of the herd. Now, suppose, let us say, is a herd of elephants, and there is one tiger which comes to attack this herd. Now, this elephant immediately becomes angry and goes and, faces the tiger. How does it do so? Why does it do? Because the nature has put in the reward center. It has programmed the reward center that there it will get activated when, because of this, right? So this kind of ambition, right? I want to become the leader of this herd, right? I want to serve this herd. Courage to face the aggression and other enemies and other groups, right? Competition against, like, if it's an elephant herd, it has to compete with other bisons and, other animals and other elephant herds also. Like, if there are two herds of elephants, they will have competition against each other. Possession, right? This is my area, that is your area. All those things basically come at this level, right? Now, all these things nature has given to these animals so that they can survive, they can progress. So this is the next level of evolution where the happiness of these animals lies in these things. Now, when we come to human beings, values are the primary means. So, what is right, what is wrong, belief systems, right? Ideologies, duties, rights, justice, sacrifice, truth, discipline, compassion. Now, all these things are human values, right? So, in a animal kingdom, right? If there is a weak and diseased and sick animal, like, there it is just survival of the fittest, right? Whereas, like, the competition, and that is what rules in an animal kingdom. Whereas in a human society, right? We have reservation, we have affirmative action, right? We take care of the weak in the society, right? So those kind of things are uniquely human values. Now, in animal kingdom, like, the you don't have, here we have, like, are you a BJP supporter? Are you a Congress supporter? Like, or if you are in the US, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Like, what is your ideology? Are you a communist? Are you a believer of God? Are you an atheist? Now, all those things don't come for animals. All those ideologies and belief systems come only for human beings, right? What are my duties? What are my rights? No animal has those kinds of thoughts, right? Those are all uniquely human things. And what is right? What is wrong? And then why should I speak the truth, right? And following discipline, right? In animals, if the animal is hungry and if there is food, the animal will just go and eat. Whereas what will human beings do? They will say, I'm following intermittent fasting. I have a feeding window, morning 6 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock. I will not eat beyond that. Or he will say, now it is Ramzan time, I will eat from evening 6 o'clock to morning 6 o'clock. My feeding window is reversed, right? Or you might say, today is Ekadasi, I'll be fasting. Or now it is Navaratri, so I don't eat this thing, anything other than fruits. So like this, all kinds of discipline, vratas, everything is followed by human beings. Animals will just go to sleep when they feel sleepy. Human beings, we will say, like, no, no, it is not sleeping time. I will go to sleep only at 10 o'clock. And animals will just wake up whenever they want to wake up. But a human being, what will he do? He'll keep an alarm at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. He will decide when he wants to wake up, and he will keep an alarm and wake up. Right? That discipline. Right? Animals, the moment they reach puberty, they start procreating. Human beings say, no, only after, even though the puberty state is reached at even 13 or 14 years old, they wait for 10 years to finish education, to start a job, to stand on your own leg, to start earning. Then only I will go into a marriage. Then I will start procreating. That too very, very limited. We too, ours too, right? All those disciplines come only for human beings, right? And some of the human beings will say, I'm Naistika Brahmachari. I will not marry. I will not have any children. All these are uniquely human values. You see how humans are different from animals, right? Discipline, compassion, right? Love, cooperation, truth, right? Willing to even die for the truth, right? Sacrifice, right? Justice, ideologies. Now, all these things, we are uniquely human, and all these things come from the development of what is called as a neocortex, right? The lowermost organisms, all these things come from the reptilian brain. It is called reptilian brain, a part of the brain. Whereas these things come from what is called as a limbic system. All the emotions, everything come from the limbic system, which is a slightly higher development in the evolution. And human beings have what is called as a neocortex, very well developed. And there is a group of neurons called mirror neurons, which is responsible for all these values, right? These are uniquely human, right? Now, these is where human beings stand, okay, in the whole sequence of evolution. Now, what next? What is the evolution beyond this? Beyond this level, where is evolution? Where does it go? That is where the spiritual goals come in. So these are all the value, dharma, right? So this is artha, this is kama, this is dharma. Now the fourth goal comes as the spiritual goal, which is the moksha. What is the goal here? Here we are saying we want unconditional, permanent happiness. All the previous happiness, they're all conditioned, right? They're all conditioned. It is not, it's very limited, right? So when we come to the spiritual goal, we start thinking, we ask the question, okay, to be happy is what everyone does everything, right? From the animals to human beings, everyone does things to be happy. Now let me think, what kind of happiness do I want? When do I want to be happy? Do I want to be happy in the morning or evening, Monday, Tuesday? I say like, no, I want to be happy always. Now, under where do I want to be happy? Do I want to be happy at home or in the office or in the entertainment place or on the road? I say like, no, I want to be happy everywhere. Okay. Under what conditions do we want to be happy? Do we want to be happy when there is success, when everything is going fine? Or do we want to be happy even when there is things are not going fine, right? Even when there is some failure, there is problems, there is things to solve, even at that time, do we want to be happy? Yes, we want to be unconditionally happy. So the happiness which we are searching after is unconditional, permanent happiness everywhere, right? So now, if such a happiness exists, it should be there here and now because it is unconditional, it is everywhere, it is at all times. That is the happiness we are seeking. So if such a happiness is there, it should be here and now. So is it there? Now we say yes, it is there because we have lot of people, lot of Jivan Muktas, lot of saints, jnanis who have attained such happiness. We have role models. And our Shastras say that such happiness exists. So it is existing. So that is what we are after. So we are after this unconditional permanent happiness. Right? Now, if this such a happiness is there, then why am I not able to avail it? Because, and the Shastras say, because you of the wrong knowledge, because of ignorance, you are not able to access this happiness. By true knowledge of the self, you will be able to reach or you will be able to manifest in this happiness. It is already there, right? So, what separates this happiness from us in the current state is just knowledge. Because anything that is got in time will be lost in time, right? Anything that is acquired in time will have a last date. There will be, it will be lost. So if something is permanent, right, then it is not something to be acquired. It is already there. We only need to realize or recognize that it is already there, right? Because only knowledge has that characteristic where it can be got but never lost. Because everything else, if it is got, it can be lost. It is only knowledge. If it is got, it can never be lost. So knowledge can be the only gap between this happiness that we are seeking and our current state. So what we need to understand here is that there is in this universe a natural evolution which is there. And this natural evolution we see, right, is maps to the four Purusharthas, right, which our Shastras talk about. The lowermost organisms, they go only for survival, which is Artha. The next higher organisms, they seek, along with Artha, they seek Kama also, pleasure. The next higher level, when you come to human beings, we predominantly seek Dharma, right? So even with our pursuit of Artha and Kama should come under Dharma. So just as how for an animal, the pursuit of pleasure should not violate survival. What is the point in if an animal pursues pleasure at the cost of its survival? It is of no use, right? So Kama comes above Artha. Artha is fundamental. Even if you get pleasure, but at the cost of life, that pleasure is of no use, right? So Kama is more important than Artha. Now, going along the same lines of evolution at a human level, right? So Dharma is there, right? So Dharma is highest. Now, when for a human being, dharma is important, and if a human being succumbs to artha or kama, then that is a animal level, right? We have to go further. We have to evolve further from artha to kama to dharma to moksha. This is the direction of evolution, right? And now, when so we this direction we can see very clearly when we study this evolution. So now manifesting our higher values, right, and freeing ourselves from the lower traits, that itself is a contribution to nature and evolution, right? So every time we follow discipline, every time you do an ekadashi vrata, ekadashi upavasa, you are evolving, you are manifesting your higher nature, you are manifesting your human nature as opposed to the animal nature, and you are pushing evolution one more level forward. Whereas if you are succumbing to anger or hatred, or like if you are succumbing to any of these lower qualities, you are retarding your own evolution, and you are also retarding the evolution of this entire universe. You are doing a disservice to this universe if you are succumbing to the lower nature. If you are pushing towards the higher nature, you are doing a great service not only to yourself but to this entire universe by pushing evolution to the next level. You are pushing evolution forward. You are helping this universe to evolve in the right direction. Every time you follow a discipline, every time you speak the truth, every time you are compassionate to others, right? Every time you are doing your duties, you are pushing evolution forward. So this you can do even on the deathbed. Like, even at the deathbed, when a person cannot even move a finger, as long as you are aware of the surroundings, you can, you know, go for a more compassionate, more disciplined, right? And, thoughts instead of scolding, instead of being irritating, instead of, getting angry with the people around. If you are more compassionate and kind towards the people around, even on your deathbed, you are serving nature, you are helping nature just by that act of compassion, right? So this is this is the way we can see that evolution goes. Now this four goals is called as purushartha, as I told you. The first one is called artha, which is security. The second one is kama, which is pleasure. The third is dharma, which is basically values and helping others. And the fourth is moksha, right? Freedom and sacrifice. Now, these four are universal goals. And even if I ask you, like, I often have run this experiment. Like, if I ask, okay, if I give you 10 lakh rupees, tell me how you want to spend it. Now people will come up with so many different answers, right? Someone will say I want to go on a world tour. Someone will say like I want to build a house. Someone will say like I've already taken loan for my house, I will want to repay the loan. Someone will say like I want to put it in a bank, I want to invest in stock market, I want all kinds of things. So, or someone will say I want to give it in charity, right? So putting it in stock market, doing business, right, building a house, like all those things come under security, right? Artha. Going on a world tour, going for a nice dinner, right? So they are all come under pleasure, right? Basically luxuries and pleasure. Now, doing social service, giving it in charity, right? They all come under dharma. Now, there are some people who will say, no, just because you are giving, why should I take? I don't want it. So that is moksha, freedom, right? Now, whether I tell you I will give you 10 lakh rupees, tell me how you will spend it. Or if I tell you like I give you 1 week vacation, you can go and do whatever you want. What do you want to do? Then also it will come under these four. So every pursuit, every human pursuit will come under one of these four categories. Okay. If you ask why, like, okay, you are working in an office. If you ask why, they'll say, I'm working so that I can earn money. Okay, why do you want to earn money? Okay, with that money, I can take care of my family. Artha. With that money, I can buy whatever I want. Okay, Kama. With that money, I can do charity, Dharma. You know, so every pursuit, whether it is studying, whether it is, going on a trek, whether it is going on a trip, or whether you are, working in an office, everything. If you ask why multiple times, finally it will come to one of these four, one or more of these four. Now, these are the absolute baseline. These are called the four Purusharthas, the four goals. And we can find this in multiple places. You can see that even our national flag indicates these goals, right? The green, which is prosperity, is Artha and Kama, and the white is Dharma, with the Dharma Chakra also is there, Ashoka's Dharma Chakra, right? That is Dharma. And the saffron on the top is Moksha, right? And the order says what is more important than the other, right? Dharma is more important than prosperity, and Moksha is more important than Dharma. This is the sequence, right? That is why, like the last shloka we saw, right? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja, which means Krishna says, go beyond dharma, right, to moksha. Sarva dharman parityajya means sarva dharman api parityajya. Already you have given up artha and kama. Now you give up dharma also and go towards moksha. That is what is meant by sarva dharman parityajya. Anyway, so, and we also know the very popular Shanti mantra, Sahanavavatu, Sahanav Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Mavid Vishavahaihi, Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Right? So here if you see, Sahanavavatu, may he protect us. Right? That is Artha. Sahanav Bhunaktu, may he give us enjoyment. That is Kama. Sahaviryam Karavavahai, may he enable us to work. May he give us strength to capable of working. That is Dharma. Tejasvinavadita mastu. May he enlighten our intellect. That is moksha, right? Jnana. And Mavid Vishavahaihi, because everyone is following the same thing, let us not quarrel. Right? And if you look at the teachings of Sri Ram Krishna and Vivekananda, there also we can see Sri Ram Krishna always keeps saying Kama Kanchana Tyaga. In the Gospel, if you read Gospel of Sri Ram Krishna, multiple places he says Kama Kanchana Tyaga, right? Renunciation of lust and greed. Lust is Kama, Kanchana is Artha. And Swami Vivekananda has coined the motto of the Ramakrishna mission as Atmano Mokshartam Jagat Hitayacha. So Atmano Mokshartam means for the liberation of the self, right? Moksha. And Jagat Hitayacha means for the welfare of the world. That is Dharma. So Moksha and Dharma are covered here, right? So renouncing Artha and Kama, proceed towards Moksha and Dharma, right? So like this, if you dig in, you will find that these four goals are there all over the place, right? You'll find everywhere, you'll find these four goals, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. And now you know what do they mean, right? What does Artha mean? What does Kama mean? What does Dharma mean? And what does Moksha mean? And you also know that it is a natural evolution which we see in biology itself. So it is not unnatural. It is whatever the scriptures have talked about is fully in line with the scientific line of thinking. This is the way the evolution has happened. So it is not, this is the way the universe has been designed, right? The universe has been designed to move from Artha to Kama, Kama to Dharma, and Dharma to Moksha. To evolve, like this, the universe itself has been designed. And Vivekananda says, there's a beautiful quotation here. Like he talks about the same thing in multiple places. This is one of the places. He says sense happiness is not the goal of humanity, right? Wisdom, jnana is the goal, and he gives a reason how man enjoys his intellect more than the animal enjoys the senses, and we see that man enjoys his spiritual nature even more than the rational nature, right? So, than artha and kama, dharma, then than dharma, moksha. So, the highest wisdom must be the spiritual knowledge. With this knowledge will come bliss, and all the things in this world are just shadows of this. So, and okay, so before we proceed further, maybe we can stop for a few questions. Yeah. Stop sharing and go for some questions. Anyone has any questions? Yes, Bishutosh. Yeah, you can unmute and you can, oh, sorry. Yeah, you can unmute and you can ask.
Yeah. Hi, Gogul.
Yep.
The question that I had was, see, I mean, also what I had read was, I mean, even if you are in the pursuit of, kama and artha, there should be an ethics behind it, and there should be a dharma which would guide your pursuit of these two purusharthas, like
Yep.
kama and this thing. And
Mm.
once you do that, it will then lead to your moksha,
Yes.
the endeavor of moksha.
Yes.
So, I mean, I wanted some view on these also.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
See, all said and done, this body is that of an animal. Okay. This body is that of an animal. So we have to eat to survive. Now we cannot say ahara and nidra is only for animals. So I won't eat, I will not sleep. We cannot say, right? So similarly, this mind is that of an animal. It has come from the animal. That is why we have all these emotions, which are the evolutionary remnants, right? Anger, jealousy, fear, right? Lust, greed. These are all animal emotions. They're not human emotions, right? And they are just there because evolutionarily we have crossed that, right? Like, in the body there are these vestigial organs, right? The appendix is there. There is a muscle behind the ears. Now these are all vestigial organs which were there, but now they are no longer useful, right? So similarly, we have all these things. We have hunger, thirst, right? Sleep. Now, similarly, we have this anger, jealousy, all these things. Okay. Now, we have to ensure that they don't become the primary goals of our life. That is what is important, right? So they say, like you don't have food, like you don't, live to eat, right? Just you live, eat to live, right? So your life has got a much higher purpose than just eating. As long as you are clear about that, that is fine, right? So what does it mean? It means your pursuit of artha and kama should be subservient to your pursuit of dharma. Okay. So you follow artha and you pursue artha and kama, but not in violation of dharma. That is what is important. Dharma should be the pradhana, right? So without violating dharma, whatever artha kama which you can pursue, you pursue, no problem, right? So, and you also should understand that you should evolve to become more human and less of an animal, right? That is why if you see, like to survive, we have to eat. There is an animal pursuit. But then what has the human being, what have we done? We, instead of eating food just as we have made it into an art, right? The cuisine, right? We create, like we don't just eat the raw meat or raw fruits or raw vegetables and all. So you have nice idli, dosa, right? Paneer butter masala, chapati, right? So you have made it into an art. The eating itself has become an art. And also, like, we offer it to the Lord and eat it as prasada. And we also give it to others, right? We share, you do annadana. Like, so that way, we have converted the base animal pursuit itself into a dharmic pursuit and also into a pursuit towards moksha, right? Now, that is the way of humanizing the animal nature. So everything we do that, right? Sleeping is the basic animal nature. But then we say, like, no, no, we regulate the sleep, we discipline the sleep. So following discipline is dharma, right? So all the animal pursuits which are unavoidable, we try to discipline them, we try to make them artistic, and we try to, do dharma with that, and we try to convert that into a sadhana to go for moksha. Similarly, like that, things like, anger, jealousy, lust, greed and all, those are all, remnant animal nature. Never call them as human nature. Okay, so they're all animal characteristics. They are the remnants of our animal characteristics, and as humans we should discipline them, and we should follow dharma. That way we should live as human beings, right? So we cannot avoid them, but we should give precedence to dharma than to artha and kama. Is that clear?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you outgrow this? Because now you are saying give a direction to that
Hmm.
instinct, right?
Yes.
But how do you outgrow these tendencies?
Yes. So that is where karma yoga and dhyana yoga come. Krishna gives detailed descriptions of how to outgrow these animal nature and establish our dharmic nature, and then move towards moksha. That is what spiritual sadhana is about, right? The entire spiritual sadhana is to outgrow our artha kama pradhana life to a dharma pradhana life, and then from dharma pradhana to moksha pradhana, right? So going from artha kama to dharma is the topic of Veda Purva Bhaga, and from dharma to moksha is the topic of Veda Anta Bhaga, right? That is what, like, Anand Maharaj has been talking about in his talks, right? Like Veda Purva and Veda Anta. So the Veda Purva Bhaga is basically about Karma Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, which basically helps us to move away from the Artha Kama Pradhana to Dharma Pradhana. And then we go further to Jnana Yoga, where we go for either Jnana or Prapatti, surrender. They all come under the Vedanta, which is where we go from Dharma to Moksha. So we will study all these things as a part of the Gita, right? So there are multiple ways, there are multiple sadhanas, and in fact, all human pursuits of art, anything which is uniquely human, right? Music, right? Painting, literature, right? So they are all ways to refine our mind to move from the uh, artha kama to dharma, right? So do charity, right? Give in charity, do social service, pursue classical music, classical dance, right? Pursue, read Ramayana, Mahabharata, right? So all these things are ways to refine our sensitivity so that we go more and more towards dharma than succumbing to artha and kama. All kinds of disciplines, vratas, right? Chanting, right? No animal does Vishnu Sahasranama Parayana, right? So that's a uniquely human. All those things will help you to establish more and more in dharma, right? Any other questions? Good. So now that with this clarity, we will go further and we will understand different kinds of happiness. Okay, let us see. We have another 10 more minutes. Within 10 minutes, we will plan to wind up. Okay. So now there are Vedanta. So when you say Vedanta, I mean Veda, Gita, Upanishads, right? Puranas, Itihasa, everything, right? So the entire gamut of Sanatana Dharma. So we have done a lot of research on this happiness. Okay. And there is a basic fundamental classification of happiness into three called Vishayananda, Bhajanananda, Atmananda. Now we need to understand this so to get more clarity on the goal. Okay. Now what is Vishayananda? Vishayananda is sensory pleasure. Bhajanananda is non-sensory pleasure. Okay. Atmananda is called fundamental pleasure. So Vishayananda comes from, let us say, eating an ice cream. So there you get Vishayananda. Non-sensory pleasure, let us give an example, listening to classical music. Let us say listening to some Carnatic music. Now there is a difference. There are a lot of differences between them. In sensory pleasure, the returns diminish. What does it mean? The first ice cream you take gives one level of pleasure. Now if I say, have one more cup. Now the second cup of ice cream gives less pleasure than the first cup. I tell you, take one more cup. The third cup, you will say, no, enough. Fourth cup, you will say like, no, 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 and you will run away. So this diminishing returns is one of the characteristics of sense pleasure. And in case of Bhajanananda, non-sensory pleasure, multiplying returns. The first time you listen to classical music, you get some pleasure. Now, the more and more you keep listening, the more and more you get used to it, right? You get trained into it and you get more, your pleasure increases. In case of Vishayananda, the more you are habituated to it, your pleasure decreases. Whereas in case of Bhajanananda, the more you are habituated to it, your pleasure increases. Vishayananda weakens the sense organs, right? Like say, for example, like if there is a agarbatti lit and kept, when you enter the room, you can feel the fragrance. But within 2 minutes, now you no longer have the fragrance because your nose has got used to it and your nose will stop sending that signal to your brain. If you go out of the room and come back again, then again you will get this smell. But as long as you are in the room, you will not feel this smell. Same thing, like, eating some laddu. The more laddu you eat, your capacity to eat laddu will come down. You will get diabetes. So every indulgence of the sense organ with the sense object weakens the sense organ. This is what, like, Nachiketas tells in the Kathopanishad, right? Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha, right? Every indriya, by its usage, it only becomes weaker, jarayanti, right? Whereas in case of Bhajanananda, it strengthens the sense organs, right? The more you are an expert in Carnatic music, the more you can enjoy Carnatic music. The more number of hours you have spent in listening to Carnatic music, the amount of pleasure you get out of that increases, right? So the Bhajanananda basically increases your capacity to enjoy that more and more. Whereas Vishayananda decreases your capacity to enjoy that. In case of Vishayananda, recollection gives pain. Suppose, let us say, last month I went to Adayar Ananda Bhavan and had one Rasagulla. Now, today I'm sitting in my house. Suppose if I remember, oh, last month I had that Rasagulla. How was it? Now, recollection of that gives me pain. It will increase my desire to have the Rasagulla, and having a desire for Rasagulla but not having the Rasagulla in front of me will give me pain because I will not be able to get that sweetness on my tongue by recollection of having eaten Rasagulla. Whereas In Bhajanananda, suppose if I have attended one concert last week, I can just close my eyes and I can replay the entire alapana, the entire concert in my mind, and that will give me pleasure, right? So, just recollection of the past indulgence in that activity gives me the pleasure. That is the nature of Bhajanananda. In case of Vishayananda, sharing reduces pleasure. If I have one Rasagulla, if I share with 3 people, I get only 1/3 and my pleasure reduces to that extent. Whereas in case of Bhajanananda, the more I share, the pleasure increases. So these are some of the differences between Vishayananda and Bhajanananda, right? And these and Atmananda is the fundamental pleasure, and that is the cause of both Vishayananda and Bhajanananda. It's a fundamental pleasure. And in case of Vishayananda, we saw that it can increase, it can decrease. Bhajanananda also, it can increase, decrease. All those things can happen. Whereas in case of Atmananda, it is unconditional, infinite, absolute pleasure, right? And this is got by the Atmajnana, by true knowledge of the self. Now, we will understand. Now, it kind of looks very abstract, but as we go along, you will understand what this Atmananda is. And just understanding what Atmananda is gives you Atmananda. Okay. So, we will see. Now, Vishayananda, animals also have, right? Whereas Bhajanananda, only humans have. And Atmananda is got by spiritual knowledge. So these are 3 broad categories of happiness, right? This is from Arthakama, this is from Dharma, and this is from Moksha. So this way, like, there is a lot of research, a lot of uh, thought which has gone into this happiness, this idea of happiness, and we are just scratching the surface, right? Just to understand enough so that we can have this basic understanding, so that whenever you read any Upanishad mantra or a Gita shloka, you should be able to appreciate, you should be able to understand what they actually mean, right? So these understanding these categories, these foundations will help you to understand that. Okay. So now we have been talking about what is the goal, and to get more understanding, more appreciation of the goal, like you can have look at this quotation of Swami Ranganathan ji, right? How do you know you are growing spiritually? He says, can you love others? Can you feel oneness with others? Do you have peace within yourself, and do you radiate it around you? That is called spiritual growth, stimulated by meditation inwardly and work done outwardly in a spirit of service. So this is called spiritual growth, right? So what do you get by spiritual growth? You get peace within, and you radiate it to others. You love others. You feel oneness with others. How do you get that? By 2 things: work done in a spirit of service and meditation. This is the gist of the entire Gita. Ranganathanji has just put into this quotation. So this will also help you to understand the goal that we are pursuing. So to get more understanding, quickly we will go through what is guaranteed by the Gita and what is not guaranteed. Okay. By studying the Gita, there is no promise of a healthy body. Okay. Don't expect improvement of health of the body. Don't expect that you will make a lot of money, right? Though there are a lot of people who advertise saying, okay, by following Kundalini Yoga, by attaining Jivan Mukti, by studying the Gita, you will be able to have a healthy body, you will be able to make a lot of money, your relationships will improve. Like, Gita doesn't promise any of them, okay? If at all any of these things happens, it is side effect, but Gita does not promise any of these things. No miraculous powers, okay? There have been so many chapters in the Gita where Krishna talks about the characteristics of a Jivan Mukta. In the second chapter, Sthita Prajna Lakshana comes. In the 14th chapter, Gunatita Lakshana comes. And then in the 12th chapter, there is this Parabhakta Lakshana. And so many places, Krishna gives detailed description about what are the characteristics of a person who is a Jivan Mukta, one who has attained Mukti, right? One who has attained liberation. What are his characteristics? And nowhere he mentions any miraculous powers. No reading minds, no predicting the future, no controlling nature, nothing. No miraculous powers are mentioned anywhere in the Gita. And by this conspicuous absence of mention of any miraculous powers, we should understand that that is not the Gita's way of thinking. That is not Gita's way of spiritual sadhana. No miraculous powers. No promise of a life free from problems. Right? Gita does not guarantee a life free from problems. Life will have problems. Gita says, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkeshu Labha Labhau Jaya Jayav Shantim apnoti. So the person, the Jivan Mukta, will be at peace even in the midst of success and failure, even in the midst of gain and loss, even in the midst of pleasure and pain. What does that mean? It means even a Jivan Mukta will go through loss, even he will go through pleasure and pain, he will go through success and failure, he will go through gain and loss. But in spite of all that, he will have a peace of mind. That is what Gita promises, not a life free from problems. Problems will be there in life always. So what does Gita promise? You will have peace even in the midst of ups and downs of life. Okay. And you will evolve and outgrow your animal nature. What do you mean by animal nature? Right? Anger, jealousy, lust, greed, ego. That is what is animal nature. You will be outgrowing your animal nature. And you will be able to withstand temptations of the senses and mind, right? So you'll be able to have this tenacity, you'll be having the resilience, the willpower to stand against temptations. And you will have less of the Shat Ripu, desire, anger, greed, delusion, arrogance, jealousy, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mata, Matsarya. Gospel talks about it repeatedly. Freedom from these six ripus, these six enemies, is what is called as moksha, right? And they will reduce gradually. It is not that suddenly they will all will vanish. No, right? Gradually they will go down. And Paramatmananji says they will go down in frequency, intensity, and recovery time. Say, for example, if you have a lot of anger now, as you progress in spiritual life, your anger, the frequency of your anger will come down, the intensity of your anger will come down, and the recovery time from a bout of anger will come down. So in all these things, all these six will come down. That is what is guaranteed in the Gita, right? You will have peace amidst all the ups and downs of life. You will evolve from your animal nature into human nature to divine nature. That evolution is guaranteed, and you will be able to withstand against temptations, and you will be free from these six defects of the mind. These are all defects of the mind. These are all animal nature. This is what is called as animal nature. So from animal nature, you will be outgrowing them, and slowly you will be free from these. This is what is guaranteed in the Gita. So with this, we will stop, right? So the shloka which we saw, right, talks about whatever we discussed so far. So the goal is to be free from the threefold bondage, seeking security from this world, the artha, seeking pleasure from this world, kama, and the sense of individuality, right, the ahankara, right? So basically, like, free from all these things, will be able to move towards moksha. So being free from these, a person continues to move around and does his duties, right? Pumams charati nispriha. And he lives as a Jivan Mukta, one who is free when living. He lives in peace. This is the goal. And this is the idea of moksha in the Gita, right? You should be very, very clear. What does moksha mean? According to Gita, in the perspective of Gita, in the view of Gita, what is moksha, right? Gita gives a lot of descriptions in, as I told you, in different chapters. So this is what Gita means by moksha. Jivan Mukti is what we are aiming for, and this is the goal, right? So a quick knowledge check. What are the 4 pursuits? We saw Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. How are human beings different from animals, right? We saw Dharma is what is different, right? Animals pursue only Artha and Kama. Human beings pursue Dharma and Moksha. That is the difference. What is the goal of life? Moksha is the goal of life, right? Na anushochanti panditaha, we saw, right? What do the colors of the national flag indicate? You can recollect. What is dharma, right? And what is moksha? What are the 3 types of pleasures we saw, right? Vishayananda, Bhajanananda, Atmananda. What is the purpose of human beings in this universe? Human beings are, through human beings, the universe itself evolves beyond the animal nature, right? So human beings are the purpose of this universe, right? This is how, this is our perspective. So I think we have already crossed our time. So any questions before we wind up? If anyone has any questions, we can take up a few questions. Yes, ma'am. Savitri, ma'am.
Yes. So the Bhajanananda can also be considered as Vidyananda, right? Anything
Yes. Yes.
which is your intellect and mind, you're able to,
Yes.
which is why it can multiply and it has
Yeah.
a bigger effect than the Vishyananda.
Yes. Yes.
But it still
Basically,
needs to evolve from being a selfish need of even the Vidyananda to a sharing one that gives you even more.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
So basically, like that is the stepping stone towards moksha. Dharma
Yes.
is the stepping stone towards moksha. So towards Atmananda, from Vishayananda, we go to Bhajanananda, then we can go towards Atmananda.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? You can unmute and you can ask. Any other? Yes, Jitendra.
Okay, yeah. It's a deeply good.
Yep.
So I have a question, right? So you said like Gita does not grant you any good right? But
Uh,
isn't it like I remember some
wait. Your voice is not clear. Can you go near the mic?
is it clear or it's still not clear?
Yeah. Can you repeat?
Is it clear or not clear in the voice?
Yeah, voice is clear. I think it is better now. Can you repeat your question?
It's in the right. You mentioned that Gita does not grant you a good physical health, right?
Can you type in? I think that might be better.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sridhar, yeah, you can ask.
Yeah, thanks, sir. So when we say evolve towards Bhajanananda, so what are those activities?
1 second. Yeah. Yeah, 1 second. So Jitendra, you can type in your question. I have enabled chat. Yeah. So Sridhar, like, yeah. So basically, like Bhajanananda is any pursuit of art, science, right? Literature, religion, right? Music, right? So basically, like everything that which refines the mind and prepares the mind for the higher pursuits. See, for example, like sound is Vishayananda. Sound is a Vishaya. Okay. But when that sound is expressed as either music or as language, then that comes under Bhajanananda.
Okay.
Right?
Refinement.
Refinement.
Okay.
The entire pursuit of art is basically Bhajanananda.
Okay.
And that prepares the mind for the higher pursuit of moksha.
Okay.
And even social service, charity, like all those things come under Bhajanananda.
Okay. Thank you.
So Jitendra, you can type in your question in the chat window. Anyone else, meanwhile?
Is it, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's clear now. Yeah.
Okay, good. I joined from my mobile. So my
Uh-huh.
question is, right, you mentioned that Gita does not guarantee a, good physical health, right?
Mhm.
So isn't it in Gita also it mentioned about, sattvic bhojanam, sattvic
Hmm.
bhojan, and also it mentioned
Hmm.
about eating before the sunset and all those things, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So isn't it those
So
things if somebody follows, obviously,
no,
the
so,
good health?
see, the objective for that is to have a refined mind. The focus in Gita is on the emotional culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Now, by following the Gita, if you get good health, that is a side effect, but that is not the primary. That is
Yeah.
not what Gita does not guarantee it. Okay. What Gita guarantees is emotional stability. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Freedom from anxiety, freedom from fear, freedom from lust, greed, ego, jealousy, anger. That Gita guarantees, but not physical or intellectual or those or miraculous powers or any of those things. No.
Okay, thank you. And one more question, right? It is like
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter who is 7 year old, and
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes she asks like who is God, and so if I have to explain her like I just
Mm-hmm.
want to know your opinion. Like I have also explained what I know, but I just don't
Yeah.
know like how to
So,
introduce to 7 year or 5 year old kid
right.
who is God, and when we are doing puja worship, see they
Mhm.
will have so many questions. So how
Yeah.
to
So that we'll touch upon those topics as we go, right? So we
sure,
have, out of the 12 lectures, we have just covered 2. So these will be touched upon in the future lectures.
sure. Thank you, Via.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, good. So we will chant Om Shanti 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 and we'll end. Okay. Girish, you have a question?
Nothing, sir, nothing.
Okay. Thanks. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Ram Krishna.
Thank you.